Namaskar. Very warm welcome to all the viewers, teachers, teacher educator in this very special live interaction of CIET NCERT. I am Renu Bhatt with you all and you are watching us live on eVidya channels, channel number 6 to 12. Apart from these channels, you are with us on our YouTube channel as well, that is NCERT official and NCERT PM eVidya class number 6 to 12. And dear viewers, this is a 5 days 5-hour online training program based on animation as digital resource for teaching and learning. Today is day 1 and the topic that we will be discussing in this session is animation in teaching learning process, policy perspective, concept and its scope. So we all know animation is quite an interesting technique to engage students and to enhance teacher students experience and outcomes. They enhance teachers and students learning experience as well. So we will be discussing about animation in this particular session. We have joined by our experts. So without any further delay, let's quickly meet her. You are Dr. Angel Ratnabai. A very warm welcome, ma'am.
Welcome.
And dear viewers, she is currently serving as assistant professor in CIET NCERT in New Delhi. And if you have any query related to this particular topic is animation in teaching learning process, policy perspective, concept and scope. If you want to know more about policy perspective, concept and its scope and usages and benefits, you can reach out to us through our various mediums. We want you to call us on our telephone number, that is 8800 440 559. Either you can drop a mail as well with all your queries and doubts. Our email address is training.helpdesk@ciet.nic.in. and if you have joined us through our live streaming, then you have to go to the live chat box and then only you can drop your comment out there. Our expert will be more than happy to answer all your queries and doubts if you have any. So as you know, it's a 5 days 5-hour online training program. Today is day 1 and we will be having so many different topics for throughout the week related to animation only. And dear learner, let me tell you our phone number one more time. It's 8800 440 559. We want you to participate in this particular online training program for a week. So without any further delay, let's quickly start this particular discussion. And ma'am, Angel ma'am, at the very beginning of this session, I wanted to know about animation. What exactly animation is?
Thank you, Ms. Renu. This 5 days we are going to concentrate on how animation can be utilized as a teaching learning resource. So to start with, we should understand what is animation in itself. So technically, if you see the definition of an animation, it is a process of creating the illusion of movements,
Right.
by displaying a sequence of images, drawings and frames that changes slightly from one to another. So this is what is the definition of animation. So if we try to understand this definition, there are several images which is in a sequence. So for example, let me show this image. You can see here there is a ball here in the visual where you are seeing. This visual, if you can see, there are different frames. You can see like there are 6 frames here.
Okay.
So there are 6 images which is having a sequence, and they are actually, when it is moved, it is creating an illusion as if the ball is moving. Okay, so that is what this animation, the definition says, that it is just a process of creating an illusion of movement with a sequence of images or drawings or frames. So that's what animation means. Let me also show you one more example here. So you have here 6 pictures of bird which is having a different movement of its
Wings.
here, like you can see here, the very first picture here is different from all the other pictures. So you can see there is a movement of its feather. Right? There is 6 pictures here. But this 6th picture, if you just move from one picture to another in a sequence, then it will give an illusion as if this bird is flying with its wings. So that is what animation means. So whenever we create an animation, so animation may have cartoons, animation may have graphics, animation have moving pictures, it can have even GIF. So it can be from any of this as a base, animation can be created. Any of this which is kept in a sequence, and if you can create the illusion of its movement, then it becomes a animation.
Right, so it's quite interesting to know about animation, ma'am. Here we would like to know, as we have just came to know what exactly animation includes. So what are the other things that you want to share with all the teachers out there, ma'am?
One of the things we need to understand is as a in the teaching learning process, as a teacher, any type of digital content. So animation is also one of the forms of digital content that can be utilized for teaching learning purpose.
Right.
So if any teacher would like to use animation, first of all there should be an understanding of why do we need animation. Right. Animation is not just used only in education. If you see in our environment, animation is being used in gaming field. All the games you play in your mobile or in this has a part of animation. And in all the entertainment, today kids are, children are very much attracted with cartoons.
Right.
Like, and even adults still we require, like internationally there are several cartoons which we still look at, like the Tom and Jerry. We can never forget such a animated cartoon which any adult can also sit and watch. So it's an entertainment field also, you can see. But nowadays we have our Indianized cartoons. It's not just like cartoons which are internationally available. We have lots of cartoon in every state has its regional cartoons as well. So we are seeing that there are several cartoons which are available, which is being used for the entertainment purpose. The other use case could be in advertisement. If you see the advertisements also, like rather than using real human visuals, like now animated content is like taking a very strong, it creates a strong impact. You would have seen, like we have so many advertisements, like for butter, there is an animation with a cow that comes and then just talks about how butter is pure and all that. So for milk sometimes, look, like animated content helps like to reach to the children. And another...
So ma'am, here I just wanted to say to all the viewers, in case you have just reach out to us, we want you to tell us that we have this 5 days 5 hour online training program on animation, and our theme is animation as digital resource for teaching and learning, and we are discussing animation in teaching learning process, its policy perspective, concept and scope. As you have just came to know about animation, what is animation, and we are going to know more about animation, its uses, benefits, and how you can engage and inculcate animation in your teaching learning process. Dear viewers, all the teachers and teacher educators out there, in case you have any query related to this particular topic, you can reach out to us through our various mediums. You can call us on our telephone number, that is 8800440559. There is a process as well, and we will tell you about the quiz session as well. So Angel ma'am, you were telling us about some animation benefits, right? We want to know about the uses. What are the uses of animation, ma'am?
Yeah, as I was talking about, like animation is being used in various fields, right? It's not just in the education, it is being used in the gaming sector, it is also being used as in the entertainment, and for advertisement is also animation picking up, and even sometimes to scientific visualization, certain graphs and the data animations are being used. And we also see nowadays simulations getting very promptly used in many things, because there are many things that cannot be really felt or really experienced. In that time there are animated content which are created, and then it is converted to a simulation format as well. So education is one of the sector that uses animation, but very specifically if we see, what are the benefits of using animation in teaching learning? If we see, like, the first thing which we could see is like it helps in understanding the complex concepts.
Right.
Whenever the content is animated. For example, one of the animation that was created by a user is a digestive system. Like, most of the time we will not be able to really see the digestive system at all. We will not be able to visualize the digestive system directly. Many times, like internal processes in what they learn in school, they are not able to really understand because they are not able to visualize it. So sometimes, like when we talk about a process of two chemicals reacting, which is not possible to do it in the lab, like sometime it may burst. So those kind of things, like concept which are really conceptually difficult for them to visualize, or certain complex concepts can also be created as animation so that the children can understand it better. The second thing is it really helps in engaging a child.
Right.
Even when the child is like watching, children are watching any other animation, we always see that. Like we get involved, we get engaged into it with the characters coming up. Sometime when even Tom and Jerry, when we watch when the Tom is going to catch the Jerry, or like no, Jerry escapes, like we really feel as if we are escaping there. So that's a kind of engagement an animation can create. When it is there in the entertainment, this also creates such an engagement in the classroom as well. So that's a benefit of using animation. And sometimes which you have seen, we already we know that, like, whatever I have seen with my eyes, I can retain it better, I can recall it easily. So that is one of the benefit of using animation, because when some conceptual the complex concepts are made in animation format, I am able to retain it better in my mind. So one of the child of class 5, after learning about digestive system, was like, there was an activity conducted by one of the teacher telling the children that we have learnt about learnt about digestive system. Now can you make like an animation of an digestion process itself? So the children were able to reproduce. It's not that like the children just listen, they were able to express themselves. They were able to communicate better using animations as well. They were able to show various content daily. What the child did is they just draw the picture or outline of the digestive system, and the child was taking small papers and then made into smaller pieces, and then used step by step to show how the food moves through the food pipe, and then it goes into the large intestine, then to small and large intestine, then to small intestine, and what happens then. So it is a creative way of communicating. So animation also helps learners to creatively communicate the information which they wanted to do, and in that process there is an active learning also possible. And it is not only for one people, it helps us in the inclusive education, because in inclusive what we talk about inclusive education is to include every single person, not only the children who are disabled. There can be inclusion just not because of disability, but maybe because of the language diversity, because of their cognitive level diversity. There can be various reasons, various diversities. When you wanted to include everyone, since animation includes like a multimedia, like there is visuals, audio, text, all possibilities are there. This helps in inclusive classroom as well. And it helps to address different styles of people. As we are aware, the learner has different learning styles. Some children only learn by doing it. Some people can learn only by seeing it. There are visual learners, there are auditory learners. So since animation has scope of including all these aspects, it helps to cater different learning styles of the learners as well. And by using animation, the classroom can be made, the learning can be made more fun and enjoyable, where children can learn, watch the animations and learn by themselves and have a fun factor in it. And as I said, it also helps for creative expression of the learner. So to just put in a smaller shell of what are the advantages, one is it helps in visualization, second is it helps in engagement, third it helps to learn better, and it also motivates and also creates curiosity among learners, and it is like risk-free experiment, and it's basically a safe environment way of learning, and it helps us to include different teaching methods as well. So these are some of the advantages of using animation, but there are still challenges as well.
Yes, sir. Ma'am, and we would like to know about the challenges as well, ma'am. What are those challenges?
Whenever we want to create animation, it requires a lot of effort, because just conversing like this and presenting in a explanation method like this, the way I am now talking, is very simple, because it just directly comes from your mind and then you present it to the audience. But when you wanted to create it as an animation, what I am trying to tell has to be exactly portrayed, exactly illustrated through the animation. So it needs a lot of effort to translate the human thought process into a way in which the other people can understand. So it needs effort and time to create. And the second thing is, we also should have a technical know-how. For example, if I wanted to create animation, I am basically an educator now. Like I am a teacher, I am a teacher educator. I am very good at content. I know my subject as physics, chemistry, or mathematics, language, or any subject which I am teaching. I am always comfortable with my subject. Second thing, now I may be creative, I may understand how to translate. But when it has to be created, there are two things. One is, as a teacher, I can create my animation using simpler ways. That is why this 5 days training is happening, and this is going to be learned in the 5 hours program, that people can learn on their own to use simpler tools to do. But the second thing is, some others may develop certain animation where we need to give them idea, this is how it has to be created. So whenever we wanted to translate our thought process into an animation, then we need to know how to translate. So there is a technical know-how. For example, I showed that first one picture where there are 6 birds picture, where there is a movement. Let's just go back to the slide so that it helps us to understand this. If we see this picture, I know as a teacher that I have to show a bird moving. So, but I also need to show if at what level I have to change the feathers. You can see here, the first picture, the feather is completely down. In the second picture, the feather is little at 45° up. Then it comes to 90°. Then actually it goes. So there is a sequence of, so until and I have that knowledge of, like, when I put it into a software, or when I apply the technique of like making that motion, exactly what kind of angle I should show. And if we see here also, even that kind of depth of the color, everything matters a lot. So even if somebody else is creating animation for us, as an educator, when I review it for my utilization in the classroom, I need to have that understanding to evaluate whether the animation which is created for teaching in my classroom will create any problem to the class or not. So that is very important for us to have that know-how knowledge of animations as well. The last thing is, like, one other challenge is the cost. So nowadays we get enough free and open source softwares to creating animations, but still, if we wanted to really create an educational content, we need experts in it, like for creating it. We need actually a lot of materials to develop the animation. So there is a cost involved in it. It's not always costly, like there are many things that can be created, simple animations also. So in this 5 hours, we are going to learn about, like, how to create simple animations at our level, so that with low cost we can create. But but it involves a cost. So that is one of the challenge sometimes for creating a very interactive or high quality animations. These are some of the challenges that we may face while creating animation.
So ma'am, we came to know about challenges, we came to know what animation is all about its uses as well. So ma'am, here we want to know about the types of animation. Do we have different types of animation?
Yeah, there are various types of various forms of animation. And if you see, these different forms are unique in itself. They are having their own purpose. And when we are going to use it for teaching learning also, it's very important to know these forms so that we can select the appropriate type of animation to be used in our classroom. So let us try to understand various types. I'm just going to explain the major types of animations because if you go in detail to learn about animation, there are lots of types that keeps getting added depending on the field where this animation is used. But for teaching learning purpose, what are the major type of animations that could be used? So that's what we will try to understand. The first one is the traditional animation. Traditional animation means like it is like you draw pictures, like one by one, and then like you try to draw that pictures in a particular slide. So when we go for the traditional, it is basically a hand drawn animation. It is a very classical form of animation, and each frame is drawn by their
hands only.
Yeah, okay. It is drawn on a paper or usually they say celluloid sheets, means like a sheet where there are cells.
Okay.
Like a Excel sheet usually we see there is cells, columns and rows, right? So similar way there will be celluloid sheets which has cells, frames kind of. So they use that in each frame, they draw the pictures, right? So after they draw, these pictures are photographed and displayed in sequence to give the feel of an animation. So this is a very classic form of animation that could be used and which is hand drawn and then it is done. And in olden days when there was no much softwares and all, this was the only way that people were using it. Earlier we all have watched like the Disney's cartoons.
Right.
They are all in the initial days they have been created, and the original the Lion King animation was also created using this particular technique. And you must have seen in the movie Tare Zameen Par, the child used to have a flip book where every page the child has drawn each image, and when it flips also you can see that the it is moving image, animation. Right. So these are all examples of traditional. It takes time because you have to draw every single picture, every single scene you have to draw. So for even for 1 minute you need to draw around like minimum 12 to 15 pictures for 1 second, sorry, not for 1 second, it's not for 1 minute. Even if you have to create 1 second animation, minimum 12 to 15 frames has to be drawn so that you can make that 1 second animation. So we can imagine how those days animation would have been created by the artist or the people. So initially that is how the entertainment people have used the animation, but slowly we have got technology and advancement and new technologies coming in. We have been able to create animation in a very simpler manner. And also there is like one another form of animation is the 2D animation. So basically 2D animations are used to create, basically we call it now 2D, 3D as a vector animation because these 2D animation is created using a vector graphic. When we say vector is like you have this x-axis, y-axis, you put a point and then there is a kind of a mathematical dimension involved in it. So you say like if it is x and y-axis, this is a thing, then it becomes like you position everything in place. So nowadays there is n number of softwares that are there to create 2D animation. Unlike this traditional animation where each frame is drawn separately. When you see traditional, every frame is separate and then they run it in sequence. But in 2D animation, you can actually move the part of a single drawn picture itself. Maybe like I have drawn an elephant, but I can only move the trunk of the elephant. So the image which we saw, the bird ball? Flipping, the bird flipping its the slide, because I'm only changing the position of its feather. Like its wing, basically, not feather, the wing. We are changing the position of the wing. So we are just changing the wings. The bird is single bird only, but change of the wing we are doing, and then we are using it to create an illusion. That's a 2D animation. And there was one of the if you see, one of the major animation which was created by NCRT long back was called as Ek Chidiya Nek
Chidiya.
Yeah, so
I guess that's a legendary song now.
Oh yeah. So that is one of the animation in the olden days every child would have enjoyed.
Exactly.
So if you see this, like it is created with pictures and then moved. So I'm just running through it. This is available in YouTube. Anybody can just watch. This was one of our NCRT's animation, which is like very popular in those days.
Right.
So this is one of the example which anybody could use it, right? So that is one of the thing which has been developed by NCRT. The second I already explained about the 2D animation, and third form of animation is the 3D. When we say 3D, everyone understands that it is 3-dimensional. Right. So there is more of like object. There is a 3-dimensional space. This can be, this is usually created with a lot of computer softwares are available for us to create. Basically, whoever is creating the animation, like the animator we call it, they manipulate the model. To move and interact. So one of the image I have shown here is like you can see the cube. You can see that there is a tortoise and a cube there, as if a character, cubical character talking there. Right. You can see that it is in a 3D form, that this tortoise can move and speak kind of. So it's more like a model being manipulated to show that thing, show the movements and the motion here. Many times this kind of 3D animations were used earlier in movies, video games and virtual games, virtual reality games. But today this 3D animation is also helping us to learn lot of concepts in a better way. For example, when you wanted to show the difference between an animal cell and a plant cell. Okay, many times when you show animal cell and plant cell as through the microscope, it is on a flat, it's on a through 2D flat frame where they will not be able to understand the cell wall. They will not be able to really observe very clearly when it is in 2D. So now making the same plant cell, animal cell in a 3D animated form helps the learner to visualize how there is a wall, cell wall available in one of the thing and not available in the other thing. So it helps us to show certain concepts very clearly, certain content which we are teaching in our classes clearly. So 3D animation is also having a lot of benefit in education. Another type of animation is stop motion animation. This is very simple for all of us to create, and we are going to learn, and you can try creating even a class 5 child, because when we tried out this, like which age of people can create it, we could see that even class 5 child could create a wonderful stop motion animation. So it's a very simple form of animation. What happens here is, in stop motion, any physical objects or even a different type of pictures and all that, it is like photographed one frame at a time.
Okay.
Maybe like I have a ball, so I take ball at one position, one photo, then move the ball to the second. So that is what we saw, where that ball was moving. There are 6 photos. First photo is there is a ball at one position. Then second photo, I am moving little the ball picture up, and then again click a picture. Then third picture, click a picture. So when you then move all this together, run in a sequence, then it creates a kind of animation also. So it is basically taking photographs frame by frame and then running as an animation. But this stop motion animation can be done. There are different types of stop motion animation based on the material being used. For example, you can use clay to make models and then create with that animations. So like for example, I would like to show you this image. So if you see here, this is one of the image you can see. It's made out of clay. There is an ice cream stick and with this play dough. So all these images have been done with play dough, like eye and then ice cream, everything. So every single picture, it looks like an animation, but this has been taken as, every step has been taken photograph by making that clay slowly getting removed one by one, like a drop and all that. So this is made using of clay. That's a material used to do. That is what we call it as claymation, or we we can call it as claymation, and this is one form of the stop motion animation which uses clay. Even sometimes you can use puppets and then do it, the stop motion animation. So we can call that as, I've given some of the examples here which were the initial days animation that has been popular, universally popular, which has been done using this technique, so that when we wanted to see it, it will help us to understand. Even stop motion animation can be done using cutout.
Okay.
Like for example, I can make a cutout with the cardboard or a chart, like a bird, and then I keep moving the bird from step by step like this, just as without wings. I keep like moving, and then I keep taking photographs, and when I run, then it runs as a animation. So that is also possible, and that is called as cutout animation. And the last one other type is object animation. So here you can see now, like this is one of the object animation which is done with a photograph. So the thing is, I am holding holding the apple, there is a photo taken. Then throwing up, there is another photo taken. Then holding again, turning the hand, taken photograph. Then putting down, another photograph. So these photos, multiple steps have been clicked as photo, and when you run it as a sequence, you get a animation, this type of animation. So these are some of the types of animation which is of stop motion. The last type is motion graphics. This is mostly used to animate text, logos, abstract shapes and all that. So basically, whenever you wanted to, typically this is used in commercial and movies and advertisements. Like if we can see some of the movies, if you have watched in the initial styles, like there will be people walking and coming, and then there is a slide coming up showing this is a producer, this is called motion graphics, where you are giving a movement to every graphic object you have. So this is used in education also. Whenever you create a material, this kind of content, like for example, I was showing what is animation. Even that text can be animated. Usually we apply this kind of animation while we prepare PowerPoint as well, the graphics are animated. So this is one another type. So just to consolidate, just to recall ourselves, what are the various types of animation? One is the traditional animation, 2D animation, 3D animation, motion graphics, stop motion animation, and rotoscope animation is little higher version which is used in the industry mostly. It has not been very much utilized in the education, but it is also one of the type of the animation.
Okay. So dear viewers, we have 6 types of animation, and here we want to know, ma'am, what is the process? How a teacher or teacher educator can do this or use animation enhancing their teaching learning process, ma'am?
Before understanding how to use it in the classroom, because this particular 5 hours we are learning how to develop our animation for using in our classroom. So we need to understand the process of developing an animation.
So ma'am, for that purpose they need to have some software, right?
No, it's not about this software. We need to have a conceptual understanding what all I should do. Software comes in between. So let us try to understand the whole process so that we'll be able to understand. So So when we see the process, we can apply any one of the instructional design model for us to have a step-by-step process. So ADDIE is one of the instructional design model which is very popularly used. So I am going to explain you the process using the model called ADDIE. ADDIE means A stands for, first A stands for analyze, and this is an acronym, like you can see here. D stands for design, development, implement and evaluation. It's a 5-stage process, and I have just also shown here an overview of what is expected in each stage of developing an animation. When you do analysis, you need to really define objective, audience and what content we will go through in detail, but this is what is the overview of it. And when you are going to design, we will have to plan the script, storyboard and the style of animation. And during the development stage, we will actually create the animation content. And when it is an implementation stage, we deliver the content to the learner, and evaluation we will try to evaluate its effectiveness in really making improvement in the classroom process. If we go one by one, in analysis stage, what are we expected to do first? If you have decided to create an animation, first of all, the decision of creating an animation itself should come as the output of your analysis. In the first stage, we are trying to analyze, like, what is my goal of teaching this content. When I am planning this content, and then we will decide, when I am going to teach this content, what is my objective? What is my objective or learning outcome I am going to use? To whom I am going to teach? And when I am going to teach this, so then I will decide whether animation will be a good type of resource to teach the student particular content or not. So basically, when you are analyzing, we need to analyze what is my content which I am going to teach, to whom I am going to teach, in what scenario I am going to teach. Based on this, the purpose is decided. Once the purpose is decided, we define my objectives, that this is my objective. So this is the way I will be creating my animation. And for creating the animation, we also need to analyze what resources I need. Maybe like what tool I require, maybe which software I require. Am I going to use this traditional animation or stop motion animation? How much budget I may require to develop? What time frame I may require to develop? So these are some of the points which we need to analyze first. Once we are through with this, then we move on to the second stage. I'm sorry, there is a small mistake in the slide, but this is a stage of design. So when we see here, the second stage is as we have understood, this is a design. Second stage is design, and in this design stage, we always give up, it's kind of making a blueprint, right? So when we make a blueprint, that blueprint clearly gives us an understanding of how you are going to go ahead. Okay, in this, the very first is like to create the script. Creating script means it's a detailed output of saying like what is going to be spoken by. If there are two characters, what are they going to talk? Whether there will be a dialogue, where is the key information for the animation, whether this has to be focused or character 2 has to be focused. All this is thinking about like which character will talk what. And we also having this, we need to create a storyboard. Storyboard is nothing but a visual representation of every scene one by one. This will be the first scene. In this first scene, these are the people who will be involved. This is the second scene. In this second scene, these many characters will be showed with this audio, with this focus. So it's basically making your blueprint of how your animation has to look up. And then we also need to choose which type of exact animation I am going to use, whether 2D, 3D, whether I am going to use stop motion, depending on to whom you wanted to do it. Like you must have seen movie Avatar. That is also an animated movie. But that is really an animated movie where even adults will get like so attracted. But if you put for children, sometime educational content, age wise, also we need to choose the type of animation which you wanted to create. So this is very important in this stage in the design, that we need to choose the animation style. And we also need to choose, if I have decided that this is what is, like for example, I initially told about creating an animation of a process of digestion. If I have decided this as my content, I have to first decide like which animation style I am going to use. So for example, I have decided to use a stop motion animation style. Then I have to use which software I will use. So when we come to software there are proprietary software as well as open source. There are premium, freemium and open source. When you say premium, like some of the things which are written, Adobe Animate is a premium software. And when you say Blender, it is a open source. You don't need to pay anything, you can download, you can use. We are going to learn about various softwares that can be used for creating different animations in the next few days, few hours, where the remaining hours are going to be dedicated to that. But you have to choose the appropriate tool to use it for developing your animation, and what is the assessment. If I am going to use that animation, what kind of assessment strategy can be utilized for understanding the impact. So that is the second stage. The third is the develop. This is actually developing the animation. When you develop animation, first we create all the assets. Like for example, I need a visual there, I need a graphic, I need a small audio piece, or I may, if I take a clay animation, I may need materials like an ice cream. I showed one ice cream melting. So in that I may need an ice cream to be done. There is an eye which was shown like having two eyes, then that has to be developed. I need to take a material. So all the assets, it can be for background, objects, it can be for the characters, which visual elements you may wanted to give, all have to be developed, created separately. And then you put together to animate that scene. Once you animate the scene, if you would like to give audio, you need to also add audio, create an audio to add. And then when it is all put together, then we try to play the animation and see whether everything is working. When we say animation asset, it could be graphics, it could be text, it could be visuals, it could be audio, it could be music. All are animation assets which is required. Every single piece is called as an asset. We develop everything and then put together everything, make the animation, then insert audio to it. So this is, and then we try to see whether our animation is ready. So this is the developing step, and once you are developed, let's now go to the classroom, try to implement. Use the animation in the classroom for teaching a particular. Maybe sometime we directly use it in classroom, sometime we put it on a learning management system where students can join and watch, sometimes we upload in certain platforms and then we use it. Wherever we are disseminating, it doesn't matter, but when we are using, we need to find out how we are integrating into the classroom, how we are using it in the classroom, and then we also need to give instruction for the learners how to use it. Sometimes they need to just watch, sometime in the animation they need to really stop and think. So there is need for instruction. The last stage is the evaluate. We have done our content, now we have tried using it in the classroom. With that we should not stop. We need to really evaluate. As of, like for example, evaluation is not just at the last stage. Evaluate comes in all the 4 stages as well. So for example, when we are going to develop, like when we are doing development also, we evaluate every step. I have created every asset, then I evaluate and see whether all the assets are correctly developed. Then I put together, there also I evaluate, seeing that whether it is merged properly. There are also evaluation processes there. That is like we call it as formative evaluation. Every step, every single step we evaluate whether we have gone through correctly. Once after everything is created and implemented, we can also do a summative evaluation. How can we do summative evaluation? When we implemented in the classroom, did really we were able to achieve the learning outcome through using this animation or not? That's a question we can ask ourselves, and we can do a kind of assessment to evaluate whether this content has been effective or not. Even based on these evaluation, the content, the animation can be revised. So this is how the process has to be followed for developing any animation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the process, and ma'am, you have explained us in a very easy manner, and thank you so very much for this informative and interesting session. Anything that you want to add in the at the last of this program, ma'am?
Yeah, we have to be very clear when we wanted to create any animation. It's not that just because it is exciting and fun and it is right now wanted and all that we are creating. There is a policy perspective to it also. We had in our title, we need to understand what is the recommendation of the new National Education Policy 2020. Right. National Education Policy speaks about using variety of digital content to make our classroom interactive. So it really speaks about using animations also in the classroom. It doesn't stop there. To implement this, there is a AVGC policy that's coming up. AVGC stands for Animation, Visual Effect, A for Animation, V for Visual Effect, and G for Graphics, and C for Comics.
Okay.
So the thing is, like, there is a policy framework that has come up in our country to encourage these four to be used in the education, and for that there are lots of efforts being taken. That, like, there is a, like earlier there was only video and audio was like a very premier type of content, but today there is an emphasis on using such kind of content in a classroom so that it helps us to learn better. So this policy also gives a recommendation saying that when we wanted to create such content, there can be like private public partnership, there can be startups who can be encouraged to develop such content for school education, which can be utilized by all the teachers and teacher educators. So one of the aspect, if you see in PM E-Vidya TV channel also, there are lots of content now being not just the traditional way of videos of somebody sitting and presenting. Now you can see age wise there are lots of animated content being played through the PM E-Vidya channel as well for students to get benefited. Even in Diksha platform, such content are being created and uploaded. So the purpose of this 5 days, 5 hours training for us is to learn about creating animation for our own context, because somebody creating and giving may not be really fit for our classroom. So if I learn the technique of developing an animation and some softwares as a teacher educator, I can create animations which can be suitable for my own classroom.
Right.
That is very important for us to really do it. So that is why this 5 hours learning has been created, and those who are interested to really learn through this 5 hours, one is like the modality in which it is going to be implemented is there is 5 hours of live session where you can participate, and then you can actually ask your queries and all. If you would like to know,
we would really wanted to know about the process, how our viewers can participate, but before that we have few questions.
Okay.
Especially our viewers wanted to know about the feedback form. What about the feedback form? They wanted to know they need to be filled that form last day only, at the last day of this online training program, or on each day?
No, I will just include that when I am explaining the process, so that will help them. So if you go to CIT website, where do you get this information about this training and program and all that? Go to CIET website and you will be able to see on the screen, there is a menu bar called activities. When you click on activities, you have lots of list here. One of the thing is workshops and trainings. So when you open here, you can see the details of the program which is happening. So for example, this is a current program, so I have clicked on it. You get the details of what are the 5 days, what are the content going to be created, and when we go here, you can see the list of resource persons who are going to take up, and the video keeps getting updated and the link also keeps updated here. And when you see here, this is certain instructions. We also get in questions about many people asking like, where is the quiz? Now there is no more quiz. So we should understand that the way this program training is going to happen is you can participate just following in the YouTube or in DTH channel, you can attend the live session and you can participate, because you wanted to ask questions, you can ask question and interact with us. After this 5 days sessions are over on the last day, but before participating, ensure that you are registering yourself using this link. The very first step is registration. The second step you can watch in the YouTube or in the DTH channel to the way we are interacting now on all the 5 days. And if you have missed also, we have a playlist. You can just go to the playlist and watch that video. And this time, because in the last year when we have conducted quiz, it is only open for a week and you can participate only once. So many people were not able to really take help of this for their 50 hours CPD. So this year, it is completely on the 5th day. This 5 videos will be created as a short course. 5 hours micro course, and it will be available on the Diksha platform. So you can see here the instructions. The link will be added here on the last day. Okay. In this place. So you should go to Diksha platform, join the course, watch all the videos, read all the content. Only presentations are given. Read. There will be assessment. Participate in it. If you are having 70% above, within 3 attempts, we give you 3 attempts. If you get 70% above in the assessment, you will get a certificate in the Diksha portal itself. So once you finish this course, like you have got certificate or not got certificate, but you have completely done, you have taken your assessment, you can come to the feedback form and fill it. Some of you are filling like without doing the course, like after 5 days watching. It's not a daily feedback, it's only a feedback at the end of the program. So after you watch 5 days, participate on coming Friday, you can fix it off, you can fill the feedback form. Otherwise, after you finish your course on the Diksha platform, you can fill the feedback form. And this particular program this week we are doing in English, and in the next week it will be followed up by in Hindi. So Hindi speaking viewers can join the course in Hindi, English speaking viewers can take benefit out of this. This is how they can participate in the program.
Exactly. And dear viewers, whether you are teacher educators, we want you to participate in huge number. We are waiting for your participation. It's time for me to wrap up this session here only. But before that, let me thank our expert. Thank you so very much, Angel ma'am, for this very interesting and informative session. Thank you ma'am.
Thank you.
And thank you so very much to all the viewers as well, and for your comments. We want you to participate in this particular 5 days 5-hour online training program. Our next session is Sahyog, where we talk about mental well-being of students, and the topic would be peer pressure and social influence. Me, Renu Bhatt, is taking your leave. Namaskar.